There's a whole sort of story behind Science Hill and how it's somewhat kind of the orphan stepchild relative to the rest of the Yale campus, almost as if the sciences were sort of relegated to this site, you know, half a mile from the main campus. That you've got a few buildings such as the Peabody, built in the early part of the 20th century, and then was clearly building stopped, and then when it restarted again, we were in a post-World War II era and a very different attitude towards architecture and planning, and you sort of see that schism on Science Hill. We looked at this building as an opportunity to kind of form a dialogue with OML, which was a research building across Sachem's Wood that was built, I believe, in like 1914.
David Schwartz's firm had some very strong opinions about this building, and there were many stakeholders from across the university. This building has 4 or 5 academic departments, so I mean it was challenging.
This one was really like 2 buildings in one, because it wasn't just a straight lab building. The building is as much a collections facility for the Peabody Museum of Natural History, and so it serves these 2 roles. I won't necessarily say conflicting roles, but at times it seemed conflicting, based on very, very different environmental requirements, very different kinds of people that were going to be working in the building.
This was collected in San Bernardino County in California in April of 1881.
I mean, we have about 12 million specimens in the collections, and it really was our primary focus, was to try to build better storage and preservation conditions for our collections on campus.
Temperature is 60 degrees, the relative humidity is 45%. It's got sprinklers, it has special fireproofing on the beams. The lights are covered with UV filters. Now down here we have a bunch of trophy mounts that are difficult to store. But one of the neat things about it, when all these things were collected, they were collected primarily for trophies, but now we can get DNA out of all of these hides.
And the great thing about being an architect is you get to learn about other people's business. And while this isn't necessarily a business, it is, you know, the business of what they do.
Save you over 50% space on a given floor plate.
Each collection manager had their own sort of parochial interests, and the one that we found the most intriguing was that they didn't want any windows into their workspace. And we said, why? Well, they said, well, when we're working with our collections, if there's a window in the space, that probably means that we're going to have temperature swings. Sunlight's going to come streaking in and it's going to potentially damage something. So just stick us in the middle of our collections in a box and we're happy as clams. And we sort of thought about that, and that seemed kind of harsh. And so we came up with a way of putting them in the middle of their collections, but at the same time giving them a window onto the interior of the building.
The skylight in particular is a huge advantage to making this whole building work.
People want to work on collections. They go into the collection room, they remove the specimens, and then they work out in this work area, which has access to light, windows. It's a nice gathering space for people to work.
Not only did it provide them with sort of an indirect source of light, but it also revealed that function within the building, that they simply weren't a group of people sort of hidden inside a large refrigerator, but we'd actually sort of put kind of put this building within a building and allowed these 2 uses to kind of express each other internally.
And the other side of the hallway is laboratories and faculty offices. If a professor wants to take a specimen out of the collection and take it across to his laboratory and do more work, all he has to do is walk across the hallway and get the specimen.
The one thing I will tell you about this building that always strikes me is literally when you're trying to attract the best faculty in the world, you have to offer them something different, something that Harvard doesn't have, University of Michigan, or Berkeley, or any of these other universities. This building became a major attraction in attracting 3 or 4 or 5 of the best paleontologists, zoologists, and botanists in the world.